I'm David Olajars in communications at the American Red Cross here in the Michigan region. Um, I'd like to sort of walk through the format for this virtual press briefing. Kelly King, the regional CEO of the American Red Cross Michigan region, will kick off our remarks. She will be followed by Scott Dinsmore of the Red Cross, who will speak to the specifics of the blood shortage that we're facing currently. Scott is a blood account manager with the Red Cross. Scott will be followed by Dr. Jensen Sullivan of Michigan Medicine. Dr. Sullivan is a transfusion medicine and blood bank physician. She will be followed by Dr. Lance Wells of Hillsdale Hospital. Dr. Wells is an emergency medicine physician at Hillsdale and also directs the medical control authority in Hillsdale County. In closing out remarks, we're excited to have Jennifer Douglas of Howell. She will share her remarkable story of needing numerous blood transfusions a few years back, just weeks apart. So with that, we'll get started. And Kelly, please kick us off.
Thank you, Dave. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before I do turn it over to Scott to talk more specifically about the blood shortage, I just would like to give a special thank you to Dr. Sullivan from Michigan Medicine and Dr. Wells from Hillsdale Hospital for joining us and sharing your insights about what this shortage could mean for patients at your hospital. I also want to reassure them and other hospitals that the Red Cross supports that we are doing everything we can to minimize any impact on hospital patients. Another special thank you to Jennifer Douglas for being here to share her personal story, which truly underscores the fact that a sufficient blood supply is critical to meeting the needs of patients in a time of emergency. As a national network, the Red Cross has a unique responsibility to meet the demands for blood, to help ensure that it's available for whoever, whenever, and wherever someone needs it. Blood shortages are not uncommon within the United States. However, one of the takeaways from a Red Cross survey is that more than 1/3 of the public has never even considered that blood might not be available when they or a loved one is in need of it. There's an expectation that if you show up at the hospital and there's an emergency and you need life-saving blood, that it's going to be available. The only way that we're able to prevent blood shortages like the one that we're facing right now is for members who are eligible across communities to roll up their sleeves and go to a blood drive and give that life-saving blood. Or maybe you aren't eligible to give a blood donation, but still want to help. And you can help organize and host a blood drive within your community and encourage others who are eligible to come in and roll up their sleeves. So in a few minutes, you're going to be hearing Jennifer's story. I just want to tell you, I can relate to this as the CEO for the Michigan region. From time to time, I will get a text or a call from a family member, from a coworker, from a friend asking about a needed blood product. Most recently, it was a coworker a couple of weeks back. She texted telling me the story of her mom being in the emergency room and needing a platelet donation. And she was unable to receive it at that moment because they didn't have her specific blood type on the shelf. Thankfully, we had it at the Red Cross. We're able to get it to that hospital quickly. And within 24 hours, her mom was able to receive that treatment. We want to ensure that's the outcome, that folks don't have to wait and that that product is there right away. And please know that giving blood is a truly selfless act, and you come away feeling a real sense of accomplishment, knowing that you helped to save a life. So every donation can be a lifeline for a patient who isn't able to hold off on critical care, and we can really use your help to ensure that supply is there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott.
Thanks, Kelly. Good afternoon, everybody. It was 2 weeks ago, on January 5th, that the Red Cross announced that we were teetering on a blood shortage. In response, Michigan blood donors stepped up and answered the call. Unfortunately, the demand for blood products is exceeding the blood supply, and we're asking for the public's help again. The severe blood shortage that the Red Cross is experiencing is due to a 35% drop off nationally last month. This equates to about 40,000 units. As such, we're urging individuals to give blood now so that patients don't have to face that delay in life-saving care. Now, there are two key factors that weighed in on the shortage last month. The first is extreme weather, which forced the cancellation of about 400 Red Cross blood drives nationally, 12 here in the state of Michigan. That's more than 3 times the number of blood drives that were affected during the same time last year. As a result, thousands of blood donations went uncollected. Now, the second is the worst flu season in nearly 20 years. It might be sidelining our donors and slowing our efforts to rebuild the national blood supply. Disruptions in the nation's blood supply, like severe weather or any widespread illness, make it difficult to overcome any existing shortfall in donations. More donations are needed now to prevent those delays in medical care. Without immediate action, patients who rely on blood transfusions, including trauma patients, mothers in childbirth, people with sickle cell disease or cancer, face serious risk. While all blood types are needed, the shortage is especially serious for types O, A negative, and B negative. Type O is the most in-demand blood group and is often the first to be depleted. Type O positive is the most common blood type and is needed for everyday transfusions, while type O negative is the universal blood type often used during emergency transfusions. While we monitor the blood supply daily, it's important to remember that blood is perishable with a shelf life of 42 days, and it cannot be stockpiled in advance. The Red Cross blood supply can be replenished with the generosity of donors. As Kelly noted earlier, we're doing everything we can to minimize the impact and the shortage on hospital patients. We're contacting donors. We're alerting them to the blood shortage via phone, email, text, and the Red Cross app daily. The Red Cross also continues to work to educate our blood drive sponsors, our current donors, and those who have ever given blood, or maybe who haven't given blood in some time, that the need for blood is constant. And in order to meet that patient need, we need the generosity of donors. We can't be certain whether any postponed or canceled surgeries were due to the current blood shortage. However, we do know that hospitals are being forced to triage critical blood products due to the blood shortage. Now, there are 3 ways that you can sign up to give blood. You can call 1-800-RED-CROSS, you can visit redcrossblood.org, or you can download the Red Cross Blood Donor app. Your appointment for giving blood takes about 1 hour from the time of your arrival. The actual donation process takes about 8 to 10 minutes. In most states, those 17 years or older can give blood, and here in Michigan, 16-year-olds can give with parental consent. You can give blood at any Red Cross blood drive that we host with community partners, faith-based organizations, high schools, colleges, and different service groups across the state here in Michigan. You can also visit one of our 9 blood donation centers here in Michigan. For those who come and give through January 25th, you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to the Super Bowl in California next month. And all who give from January 26th to February 28th will receive a $20 e-gift card to a merchant of choice. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dave for our next speaker. Thank you again.
Thanks, Scott. Dr. Sullivan, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thanks so much to the Red Cross and Dave for allowing me to come here and speak about something I'm really passionate about. As a transfusion physician at the University of Michigan University Hospital, I play an active role in managing our blood supply and That includes managing about transfusion of 60,000 or so products a year, very large number of transfused products. When we hear about shortages like this, it makes our job more challenging. Daily, during normal supply, we are reviewing large surgeries, we're reviewing traumas, and any special transfusion requirements, and ensuring our supply is adequate to cover the need. But things get especially challenging during shortages like this. Again, we're transfusing maybe 200 products a day. And today, we currently have a young patient who has received more than 100 blood products for a severe hemorrhage. So we have to be ready for planned surgeries and we have to be ready for challenging massive hemorrhage like this. And we are forced to, at times, especially when supply is tight, make really challenging decisions about how long to support a patient who might not have the best prognosis. I would like to be able to support this patient until he improves or until other teams deem that his prognosis is poor and unsurvivable. But in the setting of shortages, sometimes what we can do depends on what we have to give patients. So I encourage anyone who is healthy and who is able to donate to consider that. It truly is the difference between life or death for many patients that visit our institution every day.
Thanks, Dr. Sullivan. Our next speaker is Dr. Lance Wells from Hillsdale Hospital.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I'd like to echo Dr. Sullivan's sentiments and say thank you to the American Red Cross because just the amount of help and support we get with blood on a national scale it's immeasurable. It can't really be quantified by how much value that has. So I want to say thank you, first of all, for making my job a little easier. Um, Next, I'd like to say I'm a board certified emergency physician. I've worked in multiple different areas, including primarily rural, also urban and tertiary centers like University of Michigan. Um, there's a special kind of need for hospitals that are in the rural area. I currently work in Hillsdale Hospital, which is a smaller singular system hospital. And so when you're in a rural community, you see the same things you see in urban communities where they have larger transport systems and more resources. But we still deal with those same injuries, the same level of acuity in our smaller system with less resources. So if we get someone that comes in, a young person, an old person, primarily trauma is what I want to deal with because that's the thing that comes in suddenly that can really shift the balance of what your blood supply is in a hospital. If I want you to just imagine for a second a patient, 18-year-old kid in a car accident with a blunt force injury to the abdomen who comes in dire straits and extremis, heart rate is fast, blood pressure is low, and they're barely conscious. One of the first things we're doing is trying to figure out where that is coming from, what's the injury pattern. But as soon as we identify those kind of vital signs, it is likely that we're going to be going to transfusion. And not just any transfusion. It's usually what we institute is something called a massive transfusion protocol, when we're talking about 5 to 10 units of blood going pretty quickly. Um, for regular people, a normal hemoglobin in somebody is somewhere between 13 to 15. Acceptable is about 10 plus. I've seen patients with hemoglobins of 4. This is like no blood circulating, no oxygen circulating to the brain. So the blood is like life-saving. To think of a shortage that would prevent me from being able to give blood to a patient, not only do I think about what kind of impact that would have on my hospital, Hillsdale that would be a major blow. But just the community to have the thought of we don't have the resources we need to support our patients when they come in. Someone, I'm not sure who said it earlier, but there's just an expectation that if you need blood, you come to the hospital, you come to the emergency department, you can get blood. No one would ever fathom that, oh, I can't give you blood because I don't have enough. We take that patient, that young patient that comes in who's bleeding And imagine what I would have to tell the family if it was possible for me to save them, but I can't because I don't have the resources. How do I explain that to mom? How do I explain that to dad? You can't. So the need for blood is critical. And if you just heard, as Scott said to us, it's an ongoing daily thing. Right now that we're in a shortage, we need people to donate blood. It is absolutely imperative that I say that again. We need people to donate blood. So go out and go to your Red Cross Drive. If you're not eligible to donate, talk to friends, talk to family, and get the blood banks up so that we are able to save and give it to the people who need it.
Thanks very much, Dr. Wells. And our next speaker is Jennifer Douglas, a resident of Howell, who will speak about a personal story that she experienced a few years back. Jennifer, turn it over to you.
Hi, and thank you for inviting me to share my story, David. It's actually emotional for me to listen to all the things that you guys have said because we, as a family, lived that exact situation. It was the summer of 2011, and I was a mom to two little girls. Emma was 6 and Lucy was 3, and I was 20 weeks pregnant with our baby boy. It was just an ordinary day, but it absolutely changed my life instantly because I suffered a ruptured aneurysm. I was rushed into emergency surgery where I lost a massive amount of blood. But because strangers had already donated, I was able to receive 13 units of blood, and that blood saved my life. It also saved the life of my unborn son. So 7 weeks later, while I was still recovering at home, I had another emergency. This time it was related to my pregnancy. During that surgery, I received 25 units of blood and 31 units of plasma and platelets. One thing is absolutely clear. I would not be alive today if that blood had not already been waiting for me. My husband, Andy, would have been left alone to raise 2 little girls and a newborn baby boy, Jack. In our house, it's hard to even imagine what life would have looked like if donors hadn't shown up. No mom, no Jack. And that blood didn't come from a machine. It came from people who gave an hour of their day and a pint of their blood. People who never knew me. And yet they saved me. They saved Jack. Really, they saved my entire family. My family lives every day with overwhelming gratitude for blood donors. To us, you are heroes. My mom was a lifelong blood donor with the American Red Cross. And she taught me that when something saves your life, you don't keep quiet about it. You have to pay it forward. So the summer after I survived, I hosted my first blood drive. Now I host 2 every year with a dear friend who has her own story. And my kids, Emma, Lucy, and Jack, and my husband, Andy, volunteer at every drive. The kids bring their friends to volunteer. This is just part of who we are. And our goal is really simple. It's to help keep families together, just like donors kept ours together. At our most recent drive, we collected 30 units of blood, and that means up to 90 lives potentially touched. Our next drive is June 25th, and we hope to collect even more. To anyone who is watching who has donated blood, thank you. You may never know whose life you saved, but families like mine are living proof. And if you've never donated before, I want you to know this. You could be someone's hero. With 1 pint of blood and an hour of your time, you could help a mom go home to her kids or help a baby grow up with his family. So let's donate to keep families together. Thank you.